Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Today I wanted to share with you some strategies on different foods that you might want to add to your prepper pantry, your food storage stockpile, that could be short to medium time frame foods that you could make a meal in a few moments, a little bit of cooking, foods that are easy to have in your food storage stockpile that are easy to prepare meals within a few minutes, that you just need to do a little bit of cooking, mix a few things together, and you can get a meal on the table. So let's talk about what are some of these foods. Let's start with cereal. Cereal doesn't have to be just in a bowl with milk for breakfast. You can snack on it right out of the bag on a lot of varieties of cereal. And there's so many times during the day when a simple bowl of cereal could actually fill you up. What do you need to go with your cereal? Probably some milk. Find some choices of prepper pantry foods of milk that you enjoy, that you find palatable, like the shelf-stable UHT milk that you can buy that's already prepared in little quarts in a box. It can live in your prepper pantry as is. You can find some powdered milk, maybe cans of milk. But even if you don't have any milk, cereal can still be a snack. You can eat it by the handful and it can keep you going. Next, let's think about crackers. Crackers can be as simple as a matzah because they have very few ingredients in them. They're very simple. They're great with just honey poured on them, and they're going to last a long time. They don't get stale because they don't have a lot of ingredients. Some of the other crackers that I like to include in my prepper pantry are Ritz crackers, but I take them out of the cardboard box and I store them into an airtight container, and I've had them last like 2 years just stored like this. So the better you store your food, the better it's going to last. Another kind of cracker you might want to include are saltines, but I was thinking that saltines are one of the crackers that you could store forever, and they're not, because they actually have 10% oil. Don't think that you can store saltines to last the longest, like dried foods like beans and rice, oatmeal and pasta, because it has oil in it, it will go rancid. You can store saltines in an airtight container, but you need to still rotate them within a year or two. What are some canned foods to add variety to your prepper pantry? We all know about beans and rice, but did you know you can actually buy a can of beans and rice? You could add this into a simple tortilla and make a burrito. You could heat it up, pour an egg over it, and you have a nice filling breakfast. There's a lot of ways to serve beans and rice, so don't just think that the only option is to have dried beans, dried rice. They actually can come in a can. Other canned foods to think about are things like beefaroni, ravioli, spaghetti and meatballs. Chef Boyardee has all types of different foods. They're fully prepared. If you can't heat them up, you can still eat them. But if you can heat them up, that would be extra nice. And you can combine a can of ravioli, beefaroni with a few other ingredients, and you can make a bigger, better, tastier type of a meal. I'll put a link to my beefaroni chili and the ravioli soup that I like to make in case you want to try one of those recipes, because just a can of beefaroni or a can of ravioli is not to your liking. They're still simple to have in your prepper pantry, and you can actually turn them into a better tasting meal that might be something that you find palatable. Look for combination meals, chicken and dumplings, beef stew. They're all different types of foods that come in a can. They're better heated up, but if you couldn't heat them up, you could still open it up and eat it. You can also make a better meal by adding a can of vegetables, a side of biscuits. There are many ways to make bigger, better meals out of simple canned foods. You just need to use a little creativity and imagination. So add a variety of foods into your prepper pantry that are canned and packaged so that you can combine things and make a meal for your family. Let's talk about packaged foods. Don't forget things as simple as macaroni and cheese. I've made these many times without the milk and butter, and they're still fine. And it's all a matter of what you have available, what you can afford, and how quickly you need to get something on the table, whether you have all the ingredients or not. And so having a few of the packaged foods helps you put together a meal for your family. And that's what most of us want to do at the end of the day, have something to eat. Look for easy to prepare rice sides, things from Knorr, Rice-A-Roni, Vigo. There are many different flavored rices that are simple to prepare. Most of them you just need to add water, a little bit of cooking time, and you have something that is fast and filling and pretty tasty. And you can add a lot of things into these to make a full meal for your family for not a lot of money. And for most of us, that's becoming more important, to have options of ways to make foods that aren't very expensive so we can keep our family fed. Look for different varieties of seasoned packages of rice or pastas. You might find something that you really enjoy that's not a lot of money, is easy to prepare, and is simple to make into a bigger, better meal with the addition of a few other foods to have a tasty meal for your family. If you see something you've never tried before, do like I do. I buy one, take it home and try it. If I like it, then I can go back and get more. And I'm not stuck with a bunch of food that I don't want to eat and no one in my family enjoys. Then the next time I can spend money either trying something else that's new or stockpiling foods that I know that my family will eat. Look for the Knorr pasta sides, rice sides. They're very simple to prepare. You can put loads of these packages into a 5-gallon bucket and store them away for a few years. You don't have to do anything else but store them into an airtight container, and then you can get them out and rotate them and have a lot of food on hand that's flavorful and simple to prepare. And let me know if you've tried these Kraft spaghetti boxes. I hadn't seen them in a long time, and I've been finding them again, and they're pretty handy to have on hand. You don't have to have a big old jar or a can of sauce. You don't have to do a lot of preparation to make a pretty tasty and easy to store pasta meal in your Prepper Pantry food storage stockpile. Choose simple packages of biscuit mixes. I like the Betty Crocker muffin mixes, and I haven't been able to find them lately, and they are the best in my opinion because you only have to add water. And the ones that I'm finding in the store these days are more expensive, and you have to include things like eggs or milk, and that may not be something we always have possible. So I have enjoyed having foods that I just need to add water to make something, which makes it so simple to have in an emergency situation or just on a regular day. You don't want your day to turn into an emergency because you don't have the additional ingredients that you need to make the basic foods that you have in your food storage stockpile. Look for other simple grains that are easy to prepare, they're flavorful, give you variety, and can last a long time. Things like quinoa and couscous. They are becoming more expensive, but it's something different to have in your food and your meal rotation. So look for some of these other optional foods if you haven't ever tried them. And the same strategy applies. If you haven't tried it, take one home and try it. And if you like it, you can always get more. Stock up on packages of pasta. Pasta is still reasonably affordable, but the prices are definitely going up. And if you have, say, gluten sensitivities or you want certain special types of pastas, don't think that we're going to leave it in the store for you if it's not something we normally buy. If I go to the store and I want to stockpile a few more packages of pasta and I can't find plain pasta, you can bet I'm going to be choosing something like gluten-free. And I've had people leave comments to me that how dare you take that if that's not something you need. You need to leave it for us. But if you need it, why don't you have it in your stockpile already? The food isn't reserved for anyone in particular. The food is there for anyone to buy. And so if there's something that you want and you need to stock up on it, get it now before there isn't any other option. Sometimes we go to the store, we can't find what we want, so we have to buy something else. And if the gluten-free pasta is all that's available, you're going to find that that is gone, just like the toilet paper during the COVID pandemic. Get a few of the simple to prepare packaged meals, things like skillet dinners with pasta, au gratin potatoes. There are different types of foods like this that you can add a few ingredients and turn them into a nice tasty meal that can be very different from some of the basic foods or the canned foods that we have. So these are a nice addition to have, but they're in a cardboard container. That's not something you want to add to your Prepper Pantry just like that. Just like the pastas, you want to store this into an airtight container. Put these foods into some type of an airtight container that is hard-sided so that you don't end up having bugs infest your food or critters that chew on it, and you just simply don't want to spend all the money storing food and then find out it went stale because you didn't do your best to store it properly. You want to store your food airtight in a cool, dark, dry environment, and then it's going to last the longest. The better you store your food, the longer it will last, which is the whole point. I couldn't forget one of my favorites, the Idahoan mashed potatoes. These have really shot up in price. It's unbelievable. They've nearly doubled in price in the last 2 years. and I think they're fantastic tasting. You only need to boil water, stir it in. You don't even have to cook it at all. You can top mashed potatoes with all types of foods to make all kinds of meals. And so I think these are fantastic. But the price went up from, say, $1 to nearly $2 in the last month or two. And so, yeah, if you can still afford to stock up on some of these foods, you might want to do that. Now, the other thing to think about is summer is here. The growing season is in full mode. There are still challenges. There are still countries that are having problems providing the foods that they need for their own country. There are still weather challenges, there are shortages to fertilizers, and there are all kinds of challenges to providing the same amount of food that we have had in the past. And so recognizing that food shortages going forward are a reality. So if there are foods that you think you want to have and you don't have enough, look over the foods you have in your stockpile, figure out if that's enough. Do you have 1 month's worth of food, 2 months, 3 months? How many months would you like to have? How many meals could you really make? If you couldn't go to the store for a week, could you really feed your family for that amount of time just with the foods you have on hand? And that's the type of thinking that you want to do. You want to think about the problems you might face and try to solve them before they're a reality, when it's just something to think about rather than something to have to worry about. If you have suggestions on foods we might want to add to our stockpile that are easy to prepare, simple to store, and could help us make an easy meal, leave it in the comments below so we can look for those foods and think about trying them ourselves. I hope you'll like my video, share my video, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.